Hello, you wonderful people, and welcome to another episode of Centric. This being a show where I talk about crime dramas that I watch. For today's episode, I'm going to talk about the season finale of Ray Donovan. A crazy season finale. A lot of stuff went down in this episode, so let's break it down. First and foremost, you got to give it up to Smitty. Poor Smitty kind of caught in that position where it's kind of like, okay, everything is going around, there's blood everywhere, they're about to dismember the bodies and stuff like that, and he's not handling this well. The first thing I noticed was, like, without a doubt, Bridget being it's like, oh yeah, there's a whole conversation about the raccoon, dead raccoon. It's like, oh yeah, it's the kind of, if anyone comes sniffing for the dead bodies, like dogs or whatever, they find that first, so they won't find the body. It's just like, oh, okay. She's so calm. She's out there making sandwiches while Daryl and Mickey are digging holes, and Sandy's about to like chop up the bodies and stuff. Literally, Bridget walks in there with the bodies all like already started cutting up because she already cut off Rad's head with the chainsaw. And Bridget's like, oh my god, Aunt Cindy, are you okay? It's like this is the most normal thing. I mean, I'll admit, like, the Donovans have done some pretty messed up stuff. Bridget has been pervy to a lot of messed up stuff. But, dude, this is a whole other level, and she's just so nonchalant about it. I mean, to be fair, these are the assholes that kidnapped her and everything, but still, I get, it's just kind of, once again, it's kind of showing, like, how Ray ended up the way he is. I mean, the way the Donovans in general have ended up, him and Ray and his brothers, like, the way they're just kind of like, yeah, this is how things are. But Smitty, poor Smitty, like, Sandy's like, oh, you ready? You know how to use a chainsaw? He's like, what? Oh God, no, what? No. And he's just kind of like, he's throwing up and everything, and it just, you can tell, because it's like, yeah, this is Smitty's first rodeo with this type of thing. Bridget's got a little bit of a leg up when it comes to this whole situation, when it comes to all this. And even, I was actually surprised that she picked up the chainsaw and started cutting. I mean, hell, even later on, you even see blood on her face and stuff like that. It's like, wow. Mickey actually talks to Smitty. He's like, the fact of the matter, Bridget, she comes from a strong woman, like Abby, and it's like, if you want to be with a strong woman like that, you kind of got to nut up, essentially. And you see him kind of trying to keep his composure, and he's like, you know what, you're going to clean up Bridget, we're going to put on this dress, and we're going to go down there, and we're going to get married. And it's like, she's like, what, seriously? He's like, yeah. So hey, you got to give Smitty props. You could tell he was nervous and still a little uneasy about everything, but the fact of the matter is, it shows you how much he loves Bridget, that he's like, all this other stuff, this complicated stuff with your family, I mean, because he knows he's not innocent in any of all this too, because he played his own part by killing Danny. So it's kind of like, you killed Danny, you made extra work for everybody, so obviously you got to play your part in this too, so it's just kind of an interesting thing. I even love Terry coming over and being like, oh god, who'd you kill now? 3 cops, they kidnapped Bridget. What? Goes in there, sees Bridget and Sandy wrapping up the dismembered body parts, and he's like, Jesus fucking Christ. And then Sandy's like, hey Terry. He's like, hey Aunt Sandy, and closes the door. I was like, that's so good. This is the most effed up dysfunctional family, dude. Holy shit, dude. It's crazy. It's actually kind of an interesting situation too, because Terry was like, you shouldn't be living like this. You shouldn't be burying bodies. You should be off, college, getting high, going to parties. If your mom was here, and Bridget's like, if mom was here, she'd be doing the exact same thing I'm doing. And even Terry couldn't say anything. He was like, that's 100% true, because Abby's literally helped with stuff like this before, like when it all came to a head in season 4 is when she really found out about everything that Ray gets mixed up in. Not just him, but the Donovans in general, just kind of the bloody situations they find themselves in. But in particular, the man that she got married to, she didn't know all the depths to it, but now it's like, yeah, Abby would be in the exact same situation. I mean, especially if it was about getting rid of like the bodies of the dirty cops that kidnapped her daughter. Hell yes. So it's kind of, that in itself is crazy. And I love that, like I said, when they were going down there to get married, and Smitty's just getting up, sitting down, getting up, sitting down. That's also, while that's all happening, Bridget ends up breaking the news to him about Ray. And he was like, wait, what? Once again, I brought this up about when Bunchy said it, like, that's a touchy subject for them because they lost their sister Bridget like that, so, and especially Terry, he even grills Ray about it later on. It's like, hey, you stick around, I stick around. And Ray's like, what? He's like, the fact of the matter is, you ever feel like that, you want to do something like that, and you call the person who loves you the most in this fucking world. And I'm like, yo, that's sweet, man. Because once again, I feel like out of anyone, like he's had, like throughout this season in particular, I feel like the only sibling he didn't really have an issue with, like there weren't any really complicated things like it was with his other siblings, was him and Terry. But I guess, them being the oldest and everything, there's also that bond as well, So because they were the oldest, they remember the most to a certain degree. They were still all pretty young when their mom died, and just a lot of Mickey shenanigans when they were younger, even around the time their mom dies. And that's something that actually plays a part in this too, because Ray, it's like, because Mickey's like, I was around, and Ray was like, no, you weren't. You're talking about reading stories to me and stuff like that. No, you weren't. No, you didn't. He's like, yeah, I did. Because for him, it's like, your mom was so good at that. Like, who am I? Who am I to kind of compare to that? And even talks about it with Daryl, because he's the fact of the matter. He's like, you wanted me to be your dad. He's like, you actually wanted me. Because for him, it's like, his kids grew up, like, Bunchy, Terry, and Ray grew up to resent him. The fact, and that's so obvious. Like, Daryl is the only one who's ever admired Mickey, wanted to be around him. It's like, no, Mickey's actually good. Because, even when you look at the context of the entire series, who's usually around Mickey the most? Daryl. Because Daryl, looks up to Mickey as a dad. Like, whereas the others, I guess because in Daryl's eyes, he was never like the other kid. His mom was never the other woman. But, to Ray and them, it's like, our mom was dying of cancer. You are off with other people. It's like, you literally had another family and everything. It's like, that's why, I think Bunchy's gotten to the point he's kind of let it go. But, Terry and Ray still hold some of that resentment inside and stuff, so. Which, at the end of the day, you can't really blame them for all, feeling the way that they do. But does not just stop there. There's everything that goes down. I love that, like, when he goes to visit Sam, I'm like, yo, what's about to happen? Like, is he actually going to work with Sam? Like, what's going to happen in this? And Vinny is in the elevator. He's like, they say it's going to snow. I'm like, you having the most basic, like, you having a conversation like this, especially the last time you and Ray crossed paths, you knocked him out and everything like that, plus the whole, Justine situation. So it's kind of like, yeah. And then Sam's being like, oh, you don't look well, Ray. Look, people all want something from you, but what do you want, Ray? Even being like, we've both done some terrible things, and what happened to your daughter was a horrible thing. The fact of the matter is, I wonder, can we get past this, essentially? And I was like, and then, like, you didn't see Sam I was like, because I kept thinking, oh, Sam's got to be in the trunk or something. But it turns out, like, most likely it was, like, Vinny that was in the trunk. So I was like, where's Sam? And you literally don't find out till the end of the episode. I'm like, that sucks. Because I kind of felt like there was no other way it was going to end. But I brought that up before, that it's such an interesting thing, because characters in Sam's position, kind of like seasonal characters like that, you rarely see them pop back up like that. It's usually kind of like a one and done season. But for her to be back-to-back seasons like that kind of caught me by surprise. I was like, oh man, once again, it's like, it's Susan Sarandon, so that's so freaking dope. So that's also what kind of breaks my heart a little bit, because it's like, oh, it's Susan Sarandon, but as Sam kind of sucked. Doing what she did, everything that she did, it's like, she didn't have to do what she did. I mean, she put Bridget in danger trying to, get a leg up, get what she wanted, because at the end of the day, that's all that mattered to her. She's like, oh, I try to find another way. It's like, just go ahead and try, so I'm sure for Ray, that's why he's kind of like, I can't trust you anymore. Like, after everything that's kind of happened now, it's like, you can't trust me, I can't trust you. Whether I'm still unsure who killed her. Like, I'm assuming it was Lena, because Lena was outside of her building at the end of the episode, wasn't that her building? I'm pretty sure it was. But also the way Sam was taken care of, like hanging, that was like her go-to. Well, I'm sure that was like Vinny who did that, because Vinny was the one who did all that stuff. Like I said, we didn't get to see him last season. This was our first season, the first time this, like, seeing him, because he's her fixer. And so that was his way of handling things. So it was just kind of interesting how it kind of got tied up like that. Interesting choice of words on my part in that regard. But I was like, well, I kind of felt like it was going to end that way, but I still kind of felt a little bad in the end. So there's that side of thing. I am curious, because Anita, well, because like all that can get covered up as like, oh, Sam had, committed suicide, because, well, kind of makes you think Ray might have done that ahead of time, because Ray blasted her, like, in the sense of like, he broke the silence on everything, ended up throwing Anita under like, she was collateral damage, but for one, it was like, I need help from Ferrati to make everything happen, and so that means throwing her under the bus. It's like, Anita had screwed him over. That was all Sam, and I think on some level he felt bad, because it's like, hey, she might have had the best of intentions. I mean, truth be told is, we don't really know. She could say that she had the best of intentions, but we don't really know, she made a deal with the devil and stuff like that. We see her walk away at the end of the season, and like, I don't know will we ever see her again, because she might, that, because it's interesting, because not everyone's story ever gets like a full-blown closure. It's kind of like somewhat closure of like, it has an ending of like, oh man, I'm wondering what happened afterwards, and leave it at that. A lot of people's stories are like that. You might get another sentence here and there, maybe mentioning them next season. I feel like Hector got brought up like the next season, like in some dialogue, but it's not like you ever saw him or really heard too much about him in season 5, you know. So that's what I'm talking about. So I don't know if we'll ever get to hear more of Anita, especially because she'll probably just kind of disappear, you know. We'll see in the long run, though. So I'm unsure who did it. I feel like it had to be Lena, because I'm sure Ray would want Lena to be the one to do it. I mean, to be fair, she took care of Vinny. And did she take care of Vinny? I was like, what's she about to do? Wrap the rope around his neck, jumped out the window. I was like, that is hardcore, dude. That is brutal. But to be fair, it's like, you know, retribution for what he did to Justina and everything. And he's like, oh, you're Lena, haha. Lena. It's like, he was kind of almost joking until he realized what she was about to do, what she was doing. So I don't know whether, I mean, because I feel like either case, like both of them would have reason, like Lena or Ray would have reason to do that. So like I said, the way that they cut it like that makes me think it was Lena who did it. So did Ray just like leave her, or was that Lena coming there to kind of set the scene or something like that? I don't know. It's kind of interesting because I wasn't even thinking about it before until this episode. It's like, right, because Sam and Lena had that sit down, and then Sam literally did that to someone that Lena cared about. To be fair, she didn't know. I mean, to be fair, maybe Sam did know. Maybe she doesn't care. She didn't give a shit. I mean, because Vinny had some idea, so it must have been some situation of like, Sam had to have known on some level, and it's like they had that whole bonding conversation, and then it's like you go and do that to her. I didn't even think about that. So that adds that layer to it too, because it's like, yo, fuck you, you know? So it's so interesting. Then there's the whole Bunchy situation, which Bunchy ended up getting released because Ray, you know, worked with Ferrati, but Ferrati was like, hey, Ray, come work for me. You're no simple thug. But Ray's like, I'm no good person. It's like, don't sell yourself so short. Fact of the matter is, you could do so much good. Ray ignored him, because for him, going down that route is what led to him right here in the first place. It's like he worked with Sam, and that led to everything kind of falling apart to the extent that there was many bumps along the road, but it just be a continuation of the cycle. So he's like, because he knows what kind of person Ferrati is, all those dirty cops under his belt and everything like that. It's just like, everything kind of went a little sideways this season. It's actually kind of interesting because like a lot of characters, like kind of other characters in this, like the other characters in this show got shitty endings. Like Ferrati's the only person who came out on top. All the dirty cops are gone. Matt killed himself last episode. Sam is dead. Vinny's dead. Anita's kind of out, kind of washed up in a sense. Like I said, that depends on what they ended up doing with that whole situation, if they do anything at all. So it's just kind of like, yeah, only people who kind of came out of this okay were the Donovans, you know? And it's kind of interesting because even Ray starts thinking about, like, did Mickey ever read to us? And Bunchy's like, what the heck? Why are you even asking that? He's like, honestly, I don't know. And Bunchy says, like, the saddest thing ever. I don't really remember much of, like, being a kid. And it's like, oh, God, Bunchy. Oh, dude, that sucks. I mean, to be fair, everything he went through, of course, you definitely wouldn't remember being a kid. You had to kind of grow up super fast. I mean, not even just, like, his situation that kind of bled over into Ray's situation, the whole priest and everything, but also like their mom, Bridget. It's like, their dad not really being there. And that was so interesting because Mickey kept being all defensive and stuff. He's like, no, I was there. The fact, and Terry's like, Jesus, Mickey, you're drunk. He's like, Ray's saying that I wasn't, but I was there. Yeah, he's like, the fact that I cooked food when your mom had died. And he was like, because he was even trying to have that conversation with Daryl, because it was kind of like, I cared. It might not seem like I did. I might not have been there always, but I was there. But he even recites the story. He remembers it later on. And you see Ray kind of have a look on his face because it triggered something in his head. And then even Bunchy kind of looks at him. So it's like either they both remembered or Bunchy kind of caught the fact is that Ray remembered. Maybe they both did, or him and Terry. But it was so interesting because Terry was also telling that story about Andy, that whole situation with Bunchy. And then Ray was like, no, that wasn't me that hooked up with her, even the girl that Bunchy liked. And Terry's like, what? He's like, and Bunchy's like, no, that was you, Terry. Don't be an asshole. And he's like, all right, that was me. And he's laughing, and it's just like this fucked up situation. And it's something I also noticed too. I thought was kind of interesting. This is the first time in the entire season that 95% of the Donovans are together. Because I literally was thinking like, oh, they're all there. And then it clicked in my head almost before the end of the episode. Except for Connor. I completely let that slip my mind, which that's something we still don't know where that stands right now. Like, I mean, hopefully everything's good. I mean, the whole family situation is a little resolved to a certain extent. They're kind of all on good terms. I mean, Mickey is still at large. Like, Ray was able to help Bunchy's situation, not Mickey's. So Mickey would still have to keep it on the down low. I guess he'll have to kind of like, he could still kick it around and stuff, but he'd have to be a lot more careful. So I don't know, that'd just be an interesting and complicated situation to be in. So it didn't, so I take it back. It didn't work out all that well. Oh, I'm also curious about Daryl too, because let's not forget Jay kind of had to take a break. I forgot, yeah, Jay's another character that came back too. What's going to happen with that whole situation? The movie and everything, because he had to kind of, go away for a little while, as Daryl was kind of like, yeah, literally got PTSD from that situation. So it's like, what's going to happen with that? Is the movie going to pick up? What happens to Daryl as a producer and all that? That's kind of interesting. But like I said, it was just kind of nice. Like, even though it wasn't all of them, but it did seem interesting, because it's like the Donovans were divided most of the season. They were very divided at the beginning, and then like got more and more divided, but then they finally came back together. Once again, it's like that conversation of like, no matter how effed up things are, the Donovans always find a way back to each other. So it's like they bridged the gap again, and it seems like they're in a good place, much better than they were, in season 5, like, by the end of season 5 and stuff like that. So I am so curious to see where all of this is going to take us, because Ray is reaching out to that doctor, Amarat, and the doctor even be like, it's actually good you called me. That's a step in the right direction. That took Brave, and he's like, hey, I want to talk. I want to give this a chance. And Ray's like, yeah, sure. So it's like, I mean, he went to anger management before. I mean, to be fair, that was like court appointed. So therapy and stuff like that. This time we went out of his way, because he was calling Amarat like multiple times, and he was like, the fact of the matter is that's a good sign. So hopefully Ray is heading in the right direction with everything, kind of get himself fixed and centered. I mean, that's the thing, like, there's so much damage, is what's going to happen. I mean, what Sam said is very true. It's like, everyone wants something from you, Ray, so what do you want from yourself? And I think for him, it's like, he wants to be around, because I guess, his also resentment is like, because obviously he internalizes a lot of stuff and kind of hates himself. But it's like, I think because maybe, a lot of stuff he holds Mickey responsible for, like not being there, maybe he doesn't want to do that same thing. He wants to kind of be there for Bridget and Connor and the rest of the family. Also, like, what about Bunchy and Teresa? That's kind of a complicated thing on its own, but is there going to be any repairing that? I mean, especially the way things ended between him and Teresa, like, maybe Bunchy can make some amends. I have no idea what's going to go down on that route either. Hopefully we get to see more Sandy in the future too. That'd be pretty dope. I just looked it up, and the show is coming back for a 7th season, which I'm so excited about. It's like, what happens next? There's going to be some crazy stuff. I didn't even talk about it too, but where does Ray and Lena stand? I mean, because they were kind of on good terms in the sense of like, Ray helped her get revenge, but it's like, I don't know. I don't know if she's going to be quick to kind of forgive Ray. They had their issues this season, but it's like, where do they go from here? Knowing what he knows now, like, I'm curious, like, Terry too, like, Terry's whole situation fighting this season, I think it just, he wanted to feel important. He didn't want to feel, I don't know. He was, like I said, trying to fill that hole in his heart. And I'm curious, is he going to continue that in some shape or form next season, or is that all done? I get the feeling he'll probably be a lot more attentive, in the sense of like, he knows what Ray tried to do, so he's probably going to be a lot more watchful. What about Smitty and Bridget? Like, what their relationship's going to be like. Smitty looks like he's going on an up and up that he's going to be doing. He might be one of the few characters who will probably see like transition over from like a seasonal character to like a full-blown character, in the sense of like, I mean, he is officially part of the Donovan family now, which comes with a heap of drama, which, he's kind of, like I said, already played his hand in as well, which is also going to be interesting considering the whole Mickey situation, because Mickey is still wanted by the FBI and stuff like that, which that's going to add a layer of complication too, because the FBI is probably going to be watching them like, yo, so where's your dad at? I mean, ask the brothers, where their dad is. So it's definitely going to be interesting to see what they do with the 7th season, because I think obviously half the season. I mean, it's really hard to kind of put that in like percentage wise, just like because the season, like season 5 bounced back and forth between the past and present day, like before Abby died and after Abby died. But this is the full season, like dealing with like the aftermath of having no Abby, and it seems like they found their way, they found their groove, and it seems like Ray, like I said, was kind of on the slippery slope, but he might be kind of going in the right direction. Might. To be fair, Ray is going in the right direction multiple times, but it wasn't enough that it stuck. There was always like kind of like a downfall for it. So we'll see ultimately what the next season has in store for the Donovans. I'm very excited to find out. But really, that's all I want to talk about. So the next time we meet, be happy, be safe, all to the fullest, enjoy it. Good day and good